I was impregnated spiritually. I know this sounds weird. I'm thinking I'm pregnant, but I know I'm not. But spiritually, I was. Let me just put that out there. I'm able to see this, like, I now know it's a demon, but it was translucent and it had animal-like features, but human-like hands. I don't know what kind of animal this was, but it was demonic and it had a baby next to them. And I knew that baby was mine.
Welcome to God's Voice Daily. I'm your host, Vladimir Proknevsky, and this is the channel where I share daily phone calls with people from around the world who've had real supernatural encounters with Jesus, angels, demons, and everything in between. Some of these calls go on to become full episodes on our main show called God's Voice Today, but here you will hear them raw and unfiltered, just the way they happened. So without any further ado, let's dive into today's featured call. Enjoy. Ashley?
Yes. Hi.
Hey, Ashley, how's it going? How's your day?
It's going.
I got your text message. You said you're nervous. You're not nervous. You're excited.
I know, but it's, it's having to go back there and stuff.
Oh, gotcha.
So.
Well, I appreciate you being bold. I appreciate you sharing the testimony as scary as it may seem. But Ashley, your testimony would be a blessing to a lot of people. So without any further ado, Ashley, I'm looking forward to hear it. So jump right in.
Okay. All right. So I'm 37 years old. I found the Lord. My experience happened 6 years ago, maybe going into 7 years. My mom raised us to go to, so it's me and my sister. She raised us to be Catholic. She put us in Catholic school. I hated it. We had to go to a church and confess our sins to a priest. I didn't get it. I really just didn't understand. But I knew something was wrong. Why am I having to tell this man my sin? So at a young age, I understood that something was not right. The enemy came into my life through trauma. I was sexually abused as a child at, I want to say, 4 or 5 years old. And it didn't stop until I was, I think, 11. So that was my first experience with evil. And I became I am no longer, but an addict. I used drugs to suppress and to fill a void, but it was always empty. I got into heroin, fentanyl, and meth. So my whole life was, trying to numb. And I hear a lot of people's stories of I work in the field now. I work in recovery, trying to help the lost seek freedom through Christ and, to be sober minded. And I'm sorry. It's a lot. Okay. So, it was just I would numb, and I knew that my abuse never, it affected me subconsciously. Right. But I was able to talk about it, to people, it didn't bother me. I forgave him before I knew Christ. I forgave him because I always put myself in somebody else's shoes. I was like, well, what happened to him? Did something happen to him? Because how did these patterns, how do people, how do human beings know about evil things like this? Something must have happened to him. So I forgave him. So I started using drugs for years. It started getting heavy when my daughter's father passed away from a heroin overdose. And that's when I started using heroin and using needles and just getting into that side of the dark. I was also subjected to prostitution. in a sense, human trafficking. But I was naive and thought I was in love with my pimp. So that came with a lot of soul ties. Now I know this. So a lot of soul ties. And I went to prison for a year in 2017. I got out in 2018. So I went for a year, and in prison, I still, didn't know the Lord yet. And I was using this guy to send me money in prison. And he would send me, cause it's all about store and snacks. So he would send me money, but also I manipulated him into sending me cigarettes, because I was, you're able to sell cigarettes for a very high price. So he threw over like 5 cartons of cigarettes, and I got caught. So I was in the hole for 6 months, and a hole is lockdown. So I was by myself, isolated for 6 months. All I had was a Bible. And so I was reading it, not understanding at all what I was reading. I just did it out of boredom, but I did kind of want to understand. I just couldn't. So I think that right there planted the seed, but also my grandmother, my Nona, she was a follower of Christ. And I truly believe that her prayers protected me, because I put myself in a lot of horrible situations. And so after I got out of prison, that same guy that I was using, so I got out of prison 2018. I asked him, I went home for a little bit, was trying to do the sober thing. It just wasn't for me. So I left home and my daughter, and went to a hotel. He bought me a hotel. I was at the hotel. So we're getting into the story. Okay. Let me just, I'm sorry.
Oh, don't be.
Okay. So, I have like things written down because I want to like tell it completely. Okay. So a lot of people will think that, this was meth induced and drug induced. This was not. I have done meth many times, and this has never happened. Okay. So he gets me a hotel. I'm there by myself. I call a drug dealer to bring me some meth. I knew that I didn't want to do heroin or fentanyl, because when you do heroin, you get sick. Your withdrawals are terrible. You need it. So I was freed from that. So I didn't want to go back there, because I was going to be sick. So, but meth doesn't get you. It doesn't. The only withdrawal you get from it is if you're up, like, because it's such an upper that you sleep for like weeks. So I did the meth. I went into the bathroom, went to shoot up some meth, and everything was fine before this. As I come out of the bathroom, it seemed like the air was thick. It was evil. It seemed like I didn't see anything other than it was like an all-knowing feeling. Like nothing was telepathic. It was like an all-knowing. But I felt like I was a piece of meat thrown in a lion's den, and I was about to be pounced on. And so I was full of fear. Like something was like lurking. It was personal. It was hatred. It was almost like they were creeping, like what a dog would do, or like, an animal. They're like trying to test and like see, like, is this okay? And like, finally it was like, they were like creeping towards, like, I knew it. I didn't see this. Oh, and let me put this out there. I did not feel high. It was like something took away my high. I was not high, but I was able to feel all of this stuff. But they pounced on me. It was like I felt scratch marks. My hair was being pulled. I was being molested and raped by these demons. It was demons. Again, I can't see them at this time, nor am I hearing anything. I just know that things are on me and I'm being tortured. And it wasn't stopping. So I'm like constantly, I probably looked like a crazy person. I'm trying to get these things off of me. I'm wiping my, like, you know, if something was on you, you're going to like try to get it off like a fly or something. I'm like it's all there, just mauling at me. And finally it seemed like that stopped for a second and I was pushed to the window. It was like a magnet. I was pushed to come to the window. And as I went to the window, it was like something took control and was like, it was a magnet. So I go to the window, and as I'm looking outside the window, I see nothing but, I see like nothing but like people, but they're not flesh and bone. They're transparent. And there was like thousands of people in there, but it looked like they were going about their day, if this makes sense. Like one could be sitting in a chair. You just didn't see the chair. Does this make sense? And they're like, I just knew that they didn't know where they were. Like they could have been in a park somewhere, but on the outskirts of where they were, there were guards in uniform I've never seen before, and they were translucent as well. And it seemed like they had a job to do, and that was to keep these people from, or anyone from getting, like, I don't know. I'm not sure. But they had weapons on them as well, and they were there to do a job. They were stand still. They didn't talk to the next guard. They were there to guard whatever that was, and I'll let you know what that was in a second. The Lord didn't show me what all of this was until I got to know who he was. Because again, I'm not a follower. I have no idea what's going on, nor am I high. So I'm just scared and fearful. And at the time I'm thinking, oh my gosh, these are aliens, because I'm ignorant at the time. I don't know. I'm like, what is this? You know, I'm like, what the heck? So I'm like in this fearful state, like, what am I seeing? So as I'm looking at all of this and seeing that these people are just, and I see people going in too. So let me put that out there. I see people, I had a boyfriend at the time, and he was in jail. So as I'm looking out the window there, I see him, now I know is a spirit, his spirit going into that. I'm going to let you know what it is. It's a spirit. It was spiritual prison. So later on, God revealed to me that was spiritual prison. People didn't know they were in there. That was people who were, that didn't want God in their lives. So, I saw him go in there, and it was just very odd. I was on the phone with him at one point, and I think I was on the phone with him when he called, and I saw him going in there, and I told him I was freaking out. I was letting him know, like, I don't know what is going on. I don't know what I'm seeing. And he's like, Ashley, you sound high. And I wasn't, I'm telling you, I wasn't. Something took that away, and I know it was God that took it away, but the scales fell off my eyes. So that happened. As I'm about to walk away, this, I don't want to say thing, because it was a woman. It was a woman, and she was able to like almost fly. She was able to, the only thing separating us was the window, and she was very close Like that was the only thing that was separating. And she was like floating, but she was the only one that was able to like float through this plane. Like, oh my gosh. Okay. So the people are in prison. The guards are standing in front of them, but then there was nothing in this other area. Like it was grass. Okay. But she was the only one that I've seen. Like there was nothing else. And now again, everything is an all-knowing feeling. She had a hijab on. Am I saying that right? It was like, I was only able to see her eyes, and it seemed like she was from the Middle East. I now know that she was astral projecting and she was a witch. I didn't know that at the time. I did not know this at the time. Again, you have to understand, I'm a non-believer. All of this stuff is happening. And then so let me go back because I'll lose track. So she's at the window and she's telling me, okay, she has a scroll. Okay. She opens up the scroll and she puts it up against the window. And I'm looking and there's names on the scroll. And this name highlighted out in like bold letters to me. And it was my boyfriend at the time's daughter's mother. So baby mom. And her name is Liz. So her name highlighted at me. And that witch was telling me, again, I don't know this is a witch. That witch, it's an all-knowing feeling, was telling me that they were going behind my back and they were still in a relationship. They were together and I was being cheated on. And she wanted me to go kill her.
Whoa.
Yes. I did not come into agreement with that. I was like, no, you're nuts. Like, I'm thinking this. I'm like, you're crazy. Who are you? The woman behind the window looked very scared that I said no. Almost like she was going to get in trouble because I didn't come into agreement with it. Now that I understand the principalities and like the witchcraft and stuff a little bit, I now know that whoever was hired, like maybe a high priest, was going to torture her. So basically she was astral projecting from wherever she was, and she had a mission to get me to kill Liz. So it didn't happen. Now we're done with the window. I walk away, didn't come into agreement with it. Now these things are they're doing this again. It's like it stopped so that I can take in everything that I was seeing outside the window. But then when I left the window to walk away, the demons were back to torturing me and raping me, and it just didn't stop. I remember having a gold cross necklace on because in prison, you're able to have a gold cross necklace. And on this necklace was Jesus crucified. And it was burning my skin. It was burning so bad. I ripped the cross off and threw it. And my skin, it was just like, it was burning. It was so awful. And again, not knowing, I'm going to keep on saying this, I don't know what's going on. I do know that this is evil, but it's like I couldn't call on God. I didn't know to call on him. And even if I wanted to, I couldn't. I couldn't. Okay, so spiritual prison in the rich, which I'm going down the list. Rape and torture. The smell. Let me tell you about the smell. This smell is like, there's not a smell on this earth. It seemed like it was coming from me. I was very, very possessed, and I didn't know I was possessed. All the people that I've, had soul ties with, and this was, all the bondage I was in opened up a lot of doors, a lot. I had legions of demons in me. But the smell, it was like a sulfur, egg, um, like it was dead. It was a smell of death. It was so awful. There's no smell that's here on this earth that would be able to like compare it with. I was able to see people manifesting into demons after that whole, let me just say this. After the window, I went and sat at the hotel desk. There's a desk in the hotel room, and I was sitting there, and there was an ice bucket. And the ice bucket, I was able to see. It was like it was a portal. I was able to see. It's like if I was brushing my teeth and I could see myself in the reflection of the faucet. I could see the demons. Like I was able to see them through this thing. So I was sitting at the desk, and the bucket I'm looking in the bucket, and I can see this. It seemed like I was able to tap into hell. I could see this woman. She was Chinese, Asian descent. And she looked very scared. She was sitting on the floor with her legs put up to her chest, and she looked very frightened, very frightened. I turned around to see if somebody was there, and there was nothing there. So saw that, went to brush my teeth, saw the demon behind me. And have you ever seen, if you look up Cause, it's an artist. It's like okay. It is they have these like statues, and they're made like, it has crosses on the eyes, like an X on the eyes. And it's like a famous artist. Let me please look up real quick. It's like Cause artwork. I don't know what it is. It's a famous artwork, but in this artwork, there's X's in the eyes, and like that's what I saw the demon wearing. It was like God covered her face so that I wouldn't, because I think if I would have seen like the faces of these demons, I would have like really, I was already freaked out, but I don't know why I wasn't able. God was like just covering their face for me. But it's almost like, do you know like EDM and house music, and they have that circled like mask on with like, it looks like a the fencing mask, like where you fence sword. It was that with X's on their eyes. So, after seeing that, and let me tell you, with this demon that I saw behind me, I was not scared of this one. It seemed like I've known it my entire life. So let me put that one out there. And so after seeing the demon, I put on my shoes, I leave, okay? These things are they're continuously torturing me. It would like stop for a second, but then it would still go on more often than it didn't. So I'm now trying to run from it. Now I'm running on the street, trying to get away. I definitely to one's eyes look like a crazy person. I was able to see people manifesting into demons. I was able to see how demons operate, and how they influence us humans. So while I'm running and these things are not going, these things are demons. So as I'm running and they are still attached to me, I call the police. And I call the police and I tell them, like kind of what's going on, but it's like, I'm really not, because I don't know what I told them. They did come out with an ambulance. Well, the police officer put me in handcuffs. I seen his eyes rolling in the back of his head. He was manifesting into a demon. He put me in handcuffs, put me in the back of his cop car. Now I'm in Georgia and it was like 98 degrees out. It was so hot out. It was, the humidity was insane this day. He puts me in the cop car. Now he's fully manifested, turns on the heat, closes the door and leaves me in there for about, I don't know. It was a long time, probably about 5 minutes. His friend and him, his partner were laughing and mocking at me. It was like they were smirking in like this demonic look. And I just remember sweat pouring down my face. I was like, and I couldn't breathe. I was like, I could not breathe. It was a form of like, I was able to experience hell on earth. Does that make sense to you?
Wow.
So I see the cops mocking. I'm not unable to breathe. Finally, and the windows are fogging. That's how hot it is. And it's like, I'm seeing them smirking and now the fog is over their faces. I can't even see them anymore. I'm sweating. I can't breathe. They finally open up the door and turn on the AC for me. But as they turn on the AC, they're not opening up the windows. So I have to wait till it gets cool to catch this breath. So I go to the hospital. Being on the phone and being mocked. As I'm on the phone, I do want to say this. Before the cops got there, I was on the phone telling somebody about what's going on. And it seemed like, okay, I now know that there was witches and warlocks like following me. It was like they had, I'm trying to like put it in, it's almost like they had signals, if this makes sense. Like, to be like, here she is. I was just being followed. I know that this woman was so mean and I didn't understand why she was being so mean. Again, I'm ignorant to all of this stuff. She's sitting in her car. I'm telling somebody on the phone what's going on. And everything that the person is saying to me, she knew. She was mocking. She was saying it out loud, so I knew. And I'm like, how did she know? How does she know what's being said through the other line? Like, this is insane. Like, the power she had. It was mind blowing. But everything is mocking. Everything is a smirk. Everything is like, we know and you don't know type of thing. It was so personal. It was like a personal, like I did something to these people. So being mocked and stalked, I was being mocked and stalked. It was like the demons were in my mind. Like they were communicating with them. So I go to jail. I mean, not jail. I go to the hospital, and as I'm at the hospital, because I'm not knowing what's going on, I'm at this point wanting to get to a mental hospital. I need to get 1013'd. That's what my mind is going. I am crazy, and I need to get 1013, and I need help. And so I go to the hospital. I try to get 1013. How do you say your name?
It's Vladimir.
Vladimir. Vitamin.
You can go with Vlad. VL, just like Vlad. Take the G, put a V.
Okay, Vlad.
There you go.
Okay, so 1013 means that you're crazy and you need to be held for 72 hours. Okay. Now I'm trying to get these doctors to be seeing this. I don't get 1013 because I know the president. I know what time it is. I know the date. I'm answering questions that they're asking me correctly. But as I'm in the hospital, they don't have a room for me. Okay. They have to put me in a hallway. The doctor comes up to me to talk to me in the hallway. I'm in a bed in a hallway. Again, no rooms. But the doctor starts manifesting into a demon, the eyes rolling in the back of the head, the head movement. It was the most freakiest thing because this doctor is supposed to be taking care of me. And I'm scared of him. I'm fearful of him. And so it was everywhere in the hospital. It was everywhere. And they wanted me to take a drug test. I go and take a drug test in the bathroom. I'm alone. I go and look in the mirror. And as I look in the mirror, I'm turning into a cat. I know this sounds so weird, but it's my mouth and my nose. It's like turning into like this. I keep on licking my lips. And now I know that was a demon in me manifesting into an animal. So I'm like, what? So I keep on licking my lips because I'm like, no, this can't be. So I get out of the bathroom because I'm just like, I got to get away from the mirror. But I continuously am licking my lips because I feel the mouth going as if it's a cat. But it's very weird. I know. So I go back into the hallway in the bed, and I'm sitting in the hallway. I do not feel safe. I feel so alone, and I feel like no one understands me. And I want to tell somebody, but it's like they all were manifesting. So I didn't trust them to tell. So I'm looking down at the hallway of the hospital, and there's a window, and it's dark outside. And it's all of a sudden I see these dark entities running like that. It was like almost like they were locked away. Somebody opened up the door and they were running. It was like they had a mission. There was thousands and thousands of them running so quick, so fast. And I knew that those were demons. It was, and they were darker than dark. Were
they running towards you?
No, they were just running. Okay, so I'm in the hallway. The hallway has a window. I'm looking on the outside. I'm just,
gotcha. So they're just passing by, right?
They're passing by, yes. But from the outside, they're outside of the hospital, So I don't know where they're going, but it seemed like they had a job it was a job, they had a mission. It was like they were locked away and the door was open and they were running. And it was so many of them. They were so dark. They were the dark. I don't know how to explain it. It was like they were attached to it. I don't know how to explain it other than if you've seen it. All of a sudden I'm like, oh my, I'm thinking the world ended. I'm thinking, oh my gosh. And that's weird because I knew kind of about Revelation, if this makes sense. Like I was left behind, but I didn't know, I didn't know God, it was like I knew some things and I'm like, oh, I'm left behind. The world, Jesus came, I'm thinking God came, he took his people and I'm here. I'm going to hell. So as I'm in this hallway, I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh. I turn to my left because I feel everything is just so evil, but I feel more of an evil presence. Like this one overpowered the other. If this makes sense too. And I don't want to look behind me because I'm scared to look behind. But I could see in my peripheral. And in my peripheral, I'm able to see what looked to be like a giant. It was a giant. It was huge. And it seemed like it had others. It was a principality for sure. And it had other but the others were little. They were tiny. They varied in almost a kid size. They weren't kids. They were demons, but they varied in sizes. But this one, and it was a woman. She was huge. It was a giant. And it almost seemed like it was like her children, almost like these things, these demons. So I'm scared of that. I'm starting to hear screams. And I'm hearing these screams come from these rooms, these hospital rooms. And the screams are so loud. And I'm telling the doctor, I'm like, are you not going to go check on the people that are screaming? I now know I was in the spiritual realm, and I'm also in hell, but also in the physical, in the physical, if this makes any sense at all. And these screams are like and then it starts getting hot. So hot in the hospital. Hospitals are cold. And I'm starting to see handprints on, like, because it's fog, the windows are fogged. I'm seeing handprints on the windows, like somebody's trying to get out. So I'm like, I'm just like, I want to get help, but I can't talk to anyone. I feel like everyone's part of this thing, whatever it is at the time I'm thinking. And I'm just like, I can't trust anyone. I can't even call my mom and trust her. I feel like she's part of it. Like, I felt so alone, and I had no hope. I had no hope. The hope was gone. I'm like, I'm doomed. I'm staying here, and there's no way out for me. So I leave. Hold on. I'm going to hospitals. The world and spiritual world mirror each other, but one is free. Okay. So I get out of the hospital and I start walking. I want to say it's morning time now. So I stayed there dealing with all of that, and being scared. I'm constantly scared, constantly fearful, constantly thinking that something's lurking and stalking and mocking me. And I'm constantly being raped and molested and tortured. So those things, the demons have not left my body to stop doing that. So I'm outside of the hospital and I don't have a ride. I don't trust anyone to call. So I start walking, and I'm walking towards a church that I see. And I'm like, okay, maybe I can get help from these people at the church. As I'm walking towards the church, I want to say there's probably about 20 cars that start following me. And these cars are circling. They're not circling me, but it seems like they're circling back around. And they are wondering, like I said, remember like the witch, I felt like they had signals, like they would honk the horn twice, like beep, beep, like to let them know, hey, this is where I don't know, that doesn't, it's still kind of like, doesn't make sense to me on that. But I knew that these people in the cars were evil. They were not good. So I try to get to the church. I get on the property of the church, and I'm kicked off of the church property. I didn't even say anything to them. They're like, get out of here, get off of this property, go. And I'm like, what? I thought church is loving and kind, and I needed help. And they're telling me to get off of there. Like they were, and I found out I think that was a Catholic church too. But I'm not sure. I don't want to actually scratch that because I'm not too positive. So I leave and I'm like, okay, there's like really, really no hope for me. So I call the cops again on myself because I'm trying to get away and I'm trying to see and get help. I call the cops on myself, and I'm trying to tell them that somebody is out to murder me, because that's how I felt. I felt like that these cars and all of this is, they're out to get me. And they take me to jail. So I go to jail, and I start seeing this person, I start seeing a lot of people manifesting. And I remember screaming at this guy and saying, you need Jesus. And I'm telling this guy he needs Jesus, but I don't even have Jesus. So that was the first time that I was able to say that name. Oh, let me just say, before I called the police on myself again, I was walking down a highway. And as I'm walking down the highway, very quickly, because I always felt like something like they were coming to kidnap me and get me. There was a dove, a white dove, and the white dove was pecking at my head as I'm walking. And I'm like, get away from me, like, stop. And it keeps on pecking. I can't get away from this dove. Finally, it flies away. But that I wanted to make a key point of all of this. So I take that as the Holy Spirit was getting me ready. They were coming in to save me. They were like on their way. So I go to jail, and as I'm in this van with all of these people, because they had to transport us to a different jail. As I'm there, in the transporting van, there's some things that I missed, because it was like a never ending cycle it was never ending of me calling the police trying to get help. I felt like they were the saving grace of like how this can all like end, but it never did. And it was all wrong. But I was at a friend, before I go to that thing, let me write that down I'm sorry that this is all over the place.
No, you're good. Because keep going. I'm curious to hear how it all ends.
Okay.
It has to be a happy ending, right?
Yes, very. Okay, so as I'm at a friend's house, again, I don't trust anyone. At the time, I start trusting him, but then I don't trust him. And I start running away from him, and I find a church. Again, another church. This is at nighttime. He starts chasing me, the friend, but I'm running. I want to get to this church. And it's like I've never been to this church, but I knew it was there, and I'd never been to his house. So it was like, again, all-knowing feeling. So I'm running towards this church, but behind me, he's running, but he's far away. So he's far away. I'm in front. I'm like, I have speed like you wouldn't believe. I don't know where that strength. I had strength and I had speed. So as I'm running, the demons are also running with me, but they would come up to my ear and be like, "We got you," and then come out. Like, it was like they would whisper in my ear very loudly, "We got you," and then they would be gone. And then they'd come back again and say, "We got you," and it would just constantly, like about 5 times they did that. And I'm running to the church. I hear on the church property, I hear people cheering for me. I hear, "Come on, Ashley, you could do it. You could do it. Come on, Ashley." It's like they knew that I was thinking of church and God, and I had to get to God to go to church. I had to go to church to get to God. And they were like, "Ashley, come on." I hear like heaven cheering for me, cheering. As I'm running, I get tackled by a police officer. I guess my friend called the police on me. And as I get tackled, I had superhuman strength. I was able to take the police officer and throw him off of me. He had to get other police. It took 7 cops to hold me down. And let me just put this out there too, because this was a week-long thing that happened. I was in the spirit realm, in hell, and on physical earth for a week. This was a week straight. Okay, so every time I went underneath light, like it could be a street light, any light hurt me. It burned me. It seemed like something was like being taken out of my head. Like if I went under a street light, it was like pulling. It hurt so bad. The light hurt so bad. I could not even explain this hurt, this pain. And I remember so I'm down with the police have me, 7 of them. It was almost like, and I'm just going to be completely honest, it was almost like I was in the tribulation time. Like I was being trained up for some, like, it's weird. I was like running and like, it's all so weird. I don't know how to explain that part, but it was like I was able to see how tribulation will be as well that are left behind. So as I'm in handcuffs, there's a big light under me, and it's coming from the street light. And I put my handcuffs underneath the light and it's burning. And I'm thinking in my mind, if this light can like hurt and burn, it can get me out of these handcuffs to run from these officers. And let me tell you, these officers are not nice. They are mocking. They look like they want to kill me. They're hurting me. They have fully manifested into the demons as well. So I'm unable to get away from this stuff. So I'm in the, they're transporting me to a different jail. Okay. So they get me in the cop car, I'm transported into a different jail where I said to that guy, you need Jesus, when I didn't even have Jesus myself. Oh, before I was transported, they did make me change out of my clothes. So let me go to this. It was almost, okay. So as I was changed into my clothes, I was given brand new whites, like a brand new white shirt, a brand new white bra. Everything was brand new and white. And but I knew that signified like a spotless, sinless, like I don't know, like, oh, now a spotless sheep, if that makes sense. And while I'm changing, I'm able to see this, like, I now know it's a demon, but it was translucent, and it had animal-like features, but human-like hands. I don't know what kind of animal this was, but it was demonic, and it had a baby. And the whole time, let me just tell you, some of the time I'm thinking I'm pregnant, but I know I'm not, but spiritually I was. Let me just put that out there. That demon that was sitting with that animal face in that jail cell while I'm changing has a baby next to them. And I knew that baby was mine, that demon baby. I know this sounds weird. I know. But like, I was impregnated spiritually. Okay. So I get done with that I get into the transporting car. Okay, we're almost done. I get into the transporting car, and as I'm looking out, I could see that the world, so the physical world, we're able to see grass, trees, but so you could see that in the spiritual realm too. But there's nothing living. It's all dead. And I was able to see that. I was able to see everything look like it was like a bomb went off and it hit the state of Georgia. Like I was able to see things were not living. It was very gloomy. It was very dead. And as I'm in the transporting car, I'm separated from that guy that I said needed Jesus because he manifested so bad. That's why I said it. Well, he was trying to get to me where we were separated. There was like a cage door. He was trying to open it, and I could see him kind of unlocking it with his mind. It was very odd. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's about to open the door. But as I'm looking outside of the window, I stopped paying attention to him. It's like something told me, stop paying attention to this guy and look out the window of the moving, there was a window where I was sitting. And I look, and these lights are so bright. It's a car behind us, and the lights are like flashing on and off. It's like they were trying to tell me, we got you, we're saving you, we're coming. And I knew that. Like, I knew this was somebody saving me, but I didn't understand who it was. I was like, is this my friend? Like, who is this? How did they know to follow this van? It was warning me that they're coming. So I get out of wherever I was. I go back to the hotel. So that's done. I go back to the hotel, and I hear these demons tell me, it's almost like it was a secret that they did it want me. So I heard them 3 times. The one where they said, "We got you." The second time is when they said, why is she not going to sleep right now? Why is she not going to sleep right now? And they were fighting each other over it. It's like, they were having communication with each other. And I feel like when we are sleeping, we are vulnerable to possibly like the demonic, absolutely, where they can do stuff to us. So they were very angry that I wasn't going to sleep. And then the third time that I heard them was when they wanted me to hear this. Okay, this one they wanted me to hear. The second one with the "why isn't she going to sleep?" they did not want me to hear that. But this one they said, if she just kills herself, all of this will be over. And so I'm like, oh, that's the secret. So all I got to do is kill myself and they'll stop raping me. They'll stop molesting me. I won't feel this fear anymore. So I write my daughter a suicide letter. And as I'm writing this, there's music playing. I can't tell you the song. I wish I knew the song, but the song was also telling me to kill myself. And I'm getting amped on by the song. It's like, it's making me amped up. I'm like, yes, I'm going to do this. The demons are going to be gone. And again, I'm not calling on God at all. It's like I couldn't. Except that one time I used his name was the Jesus. That guy needed Jesus. So I'm in the hotel room. I call my drug dealer because I didn't have a gun. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I did have a plan. So I call my other drug dealer who sold fentanyl. Now I'm a year clean from fentanyl. The littlest amount of fentanyl will kill you. The littlest, a crumb will kill you, even if it gets in your pores and you're not accustomed to it. So I go in the bathroom, I go and shoot up, and nothing happens. Nothing happens. I get out of the bathroom, and all of a sudden I feel I know I'm being delivered. Like all these demons are coming out of me, and it's like a tornado around me. And I put my hand through, and it's freezing cold. It's so cold. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm upset. I'm pulling my hair out because I'm like, I'm not dead. What is going on? And all of a sudden, this thing comes in my room. Now, I want to make this very clear. I was so lost and demonic at the time, like demonic influence, oppressed, possessed, that I didn't even recognize God. I didn't recognize love. I did not recognize light when he came into my room. So I was feeling hatred because I was so upset that I didn't succeed in killing myself. So now I'm like, I'm going to be tortured by these things forever. All of a sudden, I didn't know at the time, but I now know, Jesus comes in my room. I'm not able to see him, but I'm able to feel the amount of love radiating off of him. And those things fleed within seconds. And I got saved that day through, it scared me sober. And God didn't reveal everything to me until, when I say scared me sober, I didn't do any drugs at all, ever. Like after this, I've had a couple of relapses, but it's never the same because now I have God in me. If I can never get high the same, it's not ever fun. It's like a day and I'm like, it's just awful. But when I say scared sober, like it scared me straight. This whole experience scared me straight. I live for Jesus now. I was trained up to get to know who he was first. I had a lot of questions. I was seeking New Age. I was seeking all of these things because I didn't know the truth, but like I would seek something and I'm like, no, this isn't it. Finally, I got into my word. I was asking people questions and I now understand what I went through, if that makes sense.
Wow, Ashley, what a testimony.
And
the whole
it's
time.
so not like in order, and I wanted it to go to order, but it's so hard to explain because you don't know how to explain it unless somebody's been through it. But this whole witches, warlocks, witchcraft, demonic. We live in Satan's kingdom. Yes, God created this place, but when Satan fell,
He's
he
a prince
took
of
a
this
third
earth.
of the angels, and this is his domain right now. And like what I see, it's just, now that I understand the supernatural and the spirit realm, I understand also how to attack the camp. So every morning I'm going to warfare with them, and I get attacked as well. Just because I'm a Christian doesn't mean that my life is perfect. There's only
Well, you're
one
equipped
perfect.
now, right? Now at least you know how to fight them off.
Yes.
But something you said during sharing all of
Ask
this.
me questions, please. It's easier for you to ask me questions than.
Oh, I have a ton. I have a ton. So one of the things you said something. I think you said, now you know how demons operate. What did you mean by that?
I understand how they influence us. We give them legal access. It's a legal contract. It's bondage through sin. So even through music, I was able to, that music was speaking to me to kill myself. It was going along in agreement with the demons.
What are some things so is it like drugs, alcohol? But what kind of things that like big time open portals, contracts, legal contracts?
Definitely. Meth. So I can't explain it, but meth is all drugs are demonic. Okay. They're all demonic. They all put you in bondage, but there's something about meth that like opens up that portal of like, I hear other people's stories because I work in recovery. So I'm able to, like listen to their testimony and I try to piece what they went through, because I didn't have anyone to piece it for me that was a Christian, So I try to be there for them and have them understand. So meth is like, it's a whole other, but it's really drugs. And let me just tell you, soul ties. It's having sex before marriage, you have to break the curses off your children if you have children outside of wedlock. Like it is mentioned so many times, sexual immorality in the Bible. It's no joke. That is like you're getting their demons on you. They're tying together.
That stuff is real. It's not harmless for sure. But another thing you said, you saw these demons just running through the streets or through the window.
Yes,
but I remember talking to this one guy early on in my God's Voice Today journey, this podcast. It's only been around for 9 months, but it feels like it's so long ago. And I remember talking to this gentleman, and he was telling me how through astral projection and like the drugs, you open up these portals. It's like you poke holes into the supernatural. And he said, so he did this thing. I can't remember if it was drugs or what it was. He did this thing, and then he thought, oh, everything is fine. He went through this hellish experience. Then he left, and he was back. Everything was good. He's like, oh, and then he saw these demons in his hallway, and he realized there was like an open portal now. They're right here.
Mm-hmm.
They were in the dark hiding. And so kind of in the same way through drugs, you open up these holes in the kind of like
you're going through the veil. Through the back door illegally. You're going through the back door, yeah.
And it's almost like this world is flooded with them every time you partake in these kinds of things. Every time you take drugs, do these kinds of things, you flood this earth. You know how like certain parts of the world, you land like, especially like in Africa, some of the African countries, the dark African countries where there's spiritual warfare, you land and you can just feel people. I heard people, I had some missionaries in Africa that they describe like you just feels like you Americans have a hard time. Like he said that in America, it's hard for you to even comprehend this. But so when I land in Africa, I forget which country it was, you go to this like dark parts of Africa where there's a lot of witchcraft. It says you feel you're on enemy's territory. Yeah. And it's because through all these open portals that they have, they're like demons just roaming the streets. I felt that the other day.
I went to Atlanta the other day, and I usually don't go to Atlanta, but I felt there's definite strong, powerful principalities over Atlanta. And I could feel that. Once you understand the supernatural and spiritual world, and since I've experienced it, I'm definitely able to know which ones. And you know, there's demons of that are they're assigned. It's like an army. They're assigned to different neighborhoods too. So you got to pray. Like when in this, I do understand that in the spirit, like because we praise the Lord and follow Jesus in my household, the demons see that this is of light. This is so bright in the spirit realm. So, but you got to come against, like, you know, you got to pray over your neighborhood. You have to pray over your neighborhood.
Ashley, how long ago did this happen?
6 to almost 7 years ago.
Wow,
Yeah,
not that long ago.
Yeah, no. And I did have I do want to say I did have a relapse a little bit after that. And you would think, like, what are you doing? You know, but I wasn't fully healed yet. You know, you have to understand trauma, prostitution, drug use.
It takes time.
Yes. And I'm still
renewing
dealing.
Of the mind.
Yes, you're still healing.
It's a process, right? It takes years to accumulate all this stuff.
Yes.
Sometimes it takes time to renew your mind. And the more you meditate in the Word of God, then you submit.
Yes. But I do want to say this. When I did relapse that time, it was for a short time, but I was protected. I knew that those things, I was able to see them again, but it was like they weren't allowed to touch me. Does that make sense? Like they did last time. They didn't touch me. They weren't inside of me. Like I don't know how to explain it other than I was protected because I had God in my life now.
But it's interesting how this whole path of addiction, this dark path that you went through, it all started through, I guess when you were young, you were taken advantage of, right?
Trauma.
Your childhood trauma, your innocence was taken away.
It opened up the door.
And that's, Ashley, I'm telling you, every conversation that I have with people that describe these kinds of experiences, it always go back to when they were kids. Something happened.
The enemy had to get us.
And then it just sets them on the path. Sets them on the path. And it's unfortunate. Like I get to talk to the people that actually are on the other side. They went through and were able to get delivered from these things. But how many people don't?
That's and I cry over that. I do. It saddens me. I can't even sit at a restaurant. And the other day I was with my Christian group and we sat down. I was drinking. I couldn't even sip on my water without looking at how worldly, like, I don't go anywhere. It's very I don't want to. I'm so away from that life of even going to enjoy myself at I live in downtown Woodstock and it's it's very chic with rooftop bars and all of that stuff. But it's I don't even enjoy that. It's so worldly. It's insane. I can't even drink my water at a table without being upset because they were ignorant like I was. And that's another thing. I have a 15-year-old and I try to tell her, I try to shake her because I didn't raise her to be a Christian. She got her mom at a time. She was 9 years old when I came into her life again. And I was able to take her and her live with me, but she was like, who is this? I'm like, you can't do I was still getting to know Jesus, but I'm trying to portray it on her and tell her that Jesus is the only way, but I didn't raise her to be Christian or know about God. So she was on this journey with me of learning about God too. And let me tell you, she's not all the way where I am, or even she kind of calls me crazy. She's like, oh, it's always about you. But she doesn't understand. So all we got to do is just pray for our children.
Ashley, it's kind of I come from a third world country. I grew up family, 9 kids. My father was an underground pastor. We grew up on rice and potatoes, having to take turns to go outside to play because we didn't have enough shoes for everybody. So, and sometimes, I have 2 boys. I have a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old. And sometimes when they're like, oh, I don't want a steak or I don't want this. And I'm thinking boys, I would have, oh my gosh, for a steak. We had bouillon. We're just have to flavor our stuff here and there just to kind of feel like you're eating meat. But all day long, I can tell them all day long that look how blessed you have it. You have everything you need and want. Right. but it's just, in one ear out of the other, unless they experience things for themselves. That's why I believe in like, you spoil kids with experiences.
Said that happened to you. That experience happened to you. It didn't happen to me.
And that's what's so hard. It's like you can't live on somebody else's revelation, and you want them so much. That's why I started this podcast.
We know the truth.
I want people to hear these stories so they don't have to go through them themselves. Once you know the truth, it will set you free. It's like you don't have to go on the same path, but it's unfortunate. Some people they won't listen, and they will go that path.
Right.
And you just pray and hope that they will cry out, reach out to God in the lowest moment. Yeah. What a journey. Something else you said, you were talking about not pastor, but people manifesting. Yeah. As you. Yes.
It seemed like everyone had, like the demons had access to them.
It's like they were compromised because through sin, they all have open doors as well. And they were able to kind of project themselves on, just go. I heard somebody else I talked to early on again on my journey through these phone calls. I've done probably like close to 800 phone calls since I started. Some interesting conversations. And I remember he was a guest on the show. I can't remember. It's all a blur now. And by the way, actually today, for some reason, I woke up and I just feel like it's really hard for me to focus. Today is one of those days. I almost cancel all my phone calls, but I'm like, no, I'm going to push through it.
Yeah, I almost canceled.
And I'm glad that I didn't, because what a conversation we just had. But anyway, this gentleman was telling me how he went to church and he was kind of in the same kind of state, was seeing things. And he's like, surely the pastor would, and everybody he talked to, it's like they would go to this slow-mo kind of like they wouldn't be, it's like they got possessed, they couldn't do anything, and he's like, everybody's possessed, like this demon was messing with him. And so he thought, if I'd go to church, this pastor, and he would explain to him, start explaining, he was seeing the exact same thing in the pastor. He was kind of just like
and that's what I saw with the church people that told me to get away.
Well, that's interesting that like in the church, this pastor was able to, the demon took over the pastor as well. And it wasn't until, I can't remember, there was some godly person who came around who wasn't taken over. But wow, I mean, this is sobering. This stuff is real. It's not just, Hollywood.
Pregnant. Like, I know that sounds weird, but I had a demon baby with a demon.
Wow.
It's physical, but excuse me, even in the supernatural, like I just
well, I mean, think about this. What they were doing to you, right? In the spiritual, that you were being raped and everything else. It's like almost like you had this like spiritual baby.
Yes. Yeah. And I didn't just have that one. There was many.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the spiritual prison for a second.
Yes.
That one. So you saw that friend, and you said there were guards. Was it more of like just
maybe cherubims, maybe, or no? I won't say that. I don't know. I don't know if they were from God's team or Satan's team, but I just know that they had a job to do, and they were on the outskirts of like what if somebody was guarding land or something.
What do you make of that spiritual prison?
In the Bible, I think it says that Jesus, went to different prisons and his disciples went to prisons to preach people out. I also think that happens in spiritual prison, where you can be, fed and, you can get out of there. You're able to get out of there if you seek God wholeheartedly. I got out of there. I didn't see myself in there, but I know that I was there.
What about that boyfriend? Were you able to help him?
No. And he actually texted me, or not texted me, messaged me on Facebook Marketplace. Oh my gosh, where's my mind?
Messenger.
Facebook Messenger. And he was asking me for that drug dealer's number that I tried to commit suicide for. So he wanted fentanyl. And I just preached, Jesus to him and said, you don't have to do this. I'm very upset that you would contact me knowing I'm a child of God. And if, he's just very lost. And I just pray that he, finds the truth.
But what about that witch though?
Oh my God, Rod. Oh my gosh. I had no idea that was a witch. God revealed all of this to me later, years down the road. I was like, what was this, Lord? What was this? He wanted me to get into my Bible and understand things. And I also have a mentor. His name's Angel. I don't know if maybe you've came across his testimony. He went to hell. He went to go commit suicide. And as he did, he went to go pull the trigger, and he saw Jesus at the throne through his eyes, and at the speed of light come and jump off of heaven, come down, and behind him say, "Don't do it," and then took him to hell. His story is fascinating. And
I'd love to hear. Would love
yeah.
for you
Oh
to
my
connect
God.
with him.
Yeah. He was on one. He's done one interview. The Afterlife.
Oh, I see. Okay.
His name's Angel. I don't know if you know who the podcast at The Afterlife.
I've heard so many. Probably
I know.
have heard it.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, Ashley, like going back to earlier what I was said about I'm like the whole day, like it's been a while since I had something like this, like in the fog, and I've got a decent amount of sleep and everything else, and just even like starting every conversation is just like this fog. There's just like something's messing with me. And it's interesting, like now I'm feeling better and better. So I'm curious, like, how there's no such thing as an accident, but I wonder if
no such thing as a coincidence.
Some kind of spiritual something's happening.
I was
anyway.
being attacked for sure before. Bad. Me and Angel had to go and attack the enemy in his camp, because it was so intense. I knew that they didn't want this being told.
Yeah, and you were sending me text messages like, "Oh, I'm about to pull the plug on this. Oh,
yeah.
I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this."
Yeah, I was getting very angry. I mean, not angry, anxiety. And Angel was saying, "Peace, be still," and my heart was pounding. And all of a sudden, like that, "Peace, be still," it was gone. The anxiety was gone. So,
wow.
I do want to say with Angel, I felt very alone after all this happened. And I didn't know, again, still, I suffered bad from PTSD. I am blessed to be able to tell you this story today, because I wasn't able to talk about it or tell anyone, because I would the enemy gave me anxiety. That feeling that I had today before I got on the phone with you is what I had when I wanted to tell somebody. So the Lord, I would pray to the Lord, and I'd be like, "Please send me somebody that understands what I'm going through." And he used YouTube for me. And I found Angel's story, and Angel was the only one that I've ever seen on a podcast put his email and his phone number for anyone that wants deliverance and to talk about, the Lord, so that he could, disciple to them. And Angel has been a huge part of, my life. He's my best friend. I've never met him in person. We talk every day for 3 hours a day. We pray. We read the Bible together. He's amazing, and his story is incredible.
Sounds like Angel's an angel.
Yes, and God used him because I didn't have any Christian friends or anything. I was so alone, and he used him and his story, and we related on so much. And he explained to me, because he's very knowledgeable about Satanists and getting people out of occults and stuff. And he's very knowledgeable about, when I told him my story, he pieced some things together for me too, and what it meant. Yeah.
You were talking about when you were in the light, it was the cross was burning you. The light was burning you. What is it about the light?
Why that cross burnt me first.
Mm-hmm.
The cross had Jesus dead on it. Jesus isn't dead. He's alive. I got that. So I understand that if you want to wear a cross, that's fine. Wear a cross. I don't wear a cross with Jesus dead on it, because he is alive. We need to remember that. The second thing that you asked me was the light. Going under any light was it was so if it was in the sun, I wasn't getting burnt. If it's during daylight, I'm not getting burnt. It's not hurting me. But at nighttime, when I was trying to I would just be walking because I'm trying to get away from these things. I'd go under street lights, and it was a pulling, and it hurt my head. It seemed like my head was going to explode. It was because the crown of our head is I don't know. It signifies something, doesn't it? The crown of your head. I don't know. But it.
Well, when I was thinking, so for example, that guy that was telling me that he opened a portal and all these demons just came out and they were like hiding in shadows. They would never come to the light.
Yeah. No.
And so you were demon possessed. I'm sure there are all kinds of demons. And it was probably them. And this is just opinions. They're like noses. No. Everybody's got one, but usually has a couple holes in them. But this is just me looking at it this way. So you probably
demon possessed.
Any kind of light.
Yes. No, that's exactly what it means. Yes. I was, and that's the scary part is I was possessed and didn't know I was possessed. That is the most scariest thing. And another thing is I thought I was saved in the beginning of all of this and I wasn't saved. I was getting trained up, but that's a scary thing too, is being possessed and not knowing you're possessed and then thinking you're saved and not knowing you're saved.
Well, and then the strategy for these demons, where the whole thing is isolation, first through depression, or these different things, and then the end result is for you to take your own life. And isn't that what they were trying to do at the end, right? If you just end it, you can end it all, but they not realizing.
They were thinking, they were making me think it was a secret.
Yeah, tricking you, and you fell for it, right?
Each other. If she just does this, all of this will be done.
And you fell for it though. And how many people, you see sometimes like on YouTube where this woman, like footage of woman walking around, like the security footage where she's like, something's bothering her. And at the end, they find out that woman was like, jumped off a building or something like that. And you can't help but think that she probably had a very similar experience you were having.
Right. Yes.
And then at the end, she decided to end it.
The spiritual world is very real, very real.
But think about this. That person, when they take their own life, they think that all that stuff is going to go away. Recently I was talking to somebody and they were warned. The voice said, if you end this, like if you take your own life, it will be like 100 times, like 10 times worse.
Right. Yeah.
Because then you're going to see them up close and personal.
Yes. They don't want to be exposed. They don't want to be known. But I want to make like the main focal point of my testimony. Like I said, demons here, and there's laws in the spiritual realm, and they operate like an army. The angels and the Satan's angels. When you go into battle, you have to. Like you're not, there's some I've seen on TV where like they're scoping out the camp, they're trying to see where they can get in and like how many and this and that. I know that God's angels were doing that. That's why I saw them in the car flashing the lights, letting me know that they were coming. The Holy Spirit, the dove was the Holy Spirit letting me know we're coming to save you. And I didn't have this moment of Jesus saved me. I didn't choose Jesus. He chose me. I didn't call on him. So I want to make that clear too. So the angels were seeing where they can come in to fight for my spirit, for my soul, for me.
Wow. And then Jesus at the end shows up and how quickly they're all just go.
I was delivered. He delivered me. Yep.
They just run when he's just, but he didn't say anything to you, right?
There's no run. It is like,
speed of sound.
They scatter. I mean, it was so quick. Speed of light.
Speed of light out of there.
Yep.
And, but it's interesting when Jesus came in, you didn't really have a conversation with him, right?
No, I didn't have a conversation. I wasn't able to see him. I just knew that I was feeling hate before all of this. And I was very angry because my plan didn't work. And I had no hope because I'm like, okay, this is my life of like me being in this hell torment. And when Jesus came in, I didn't see light. I just knew, remember when I said it's an all-knowing feeling? I knew that Jesus was bigger than anything, and that I felt love and I felt grace and I felt like his mercy. It's like times a billion than what I'm saying right now. And that's another thing. The demons, they don't have love. So God is love, and they don't have that. So that love overpowered them to, scatter.
See, testimonies like these, they just give me so much more faith, knowing how powerful.
I'm so glad that I was able to share it with you.
But unfortunately, you have to paint the picture. It's kind of like you got to show people, look, the tactics of the enemy, so they know they don't fall for them.
Yeah.
But Jesus is the only way.
I was very nervous to tell you, and it's just like, I know it was scattered and it seemed like it was all over the place, and I'm just sorry if you didn't.
No, and I'm glad I didn't cancel either, because again, I was struggling as well today. I'm telling you, for some reason today.
Attacked. Is mine the only phone call that you've had today?
No, I had 6 phone calls.
Okay, wow.
I still have one more after this one, and I'm going to take. And I texted the person. Usually these phone calls about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I told the person, like, hey, as you were sharing your testimony, I texted the next person in line. And she was so kind. She said, oh, take your time. We can talk.
Yeah.
Ashley, this was wonderful.
Yes. Thank you.
Are you okay with me posting this? Because I'll probably post this pretty soon.
Go ahead. I hope that's it. I was, clear. I wish I could have been more clear.
No, it's hard to explain. It's a daily show. People call me, and I don't want polished. I want real, I want raw. I want the way it happened.
Right. Yeah. And it's just, it was almost 7 years ago, and it's hard to explain when you're going, it's been a while. Yeah.
Ashley, would you be interested in sharing your story on the main podcast on camera?
Yes. Yeah. But I would want to be like, yes, I would.
Let's do it.
It's easier when asking me questions, and I know that you don't talk on your podcast like that, but it's like easy for me to ask.
No, I mean, usually the first part of the podcast is I just don't like interrupting people, because sometimes, especially when you do it over the phone, over video, there's like a slight delay. And when you jump in to say something, like with these phone calls, it's a little different because there's not a lot of bandwidth being used to get audio through. But on the video, there's a slight delay. And when you interject, when you say something, it creates an awkward moment. And so I try to wait till the very end to have that conversation. Well, Ashley, I'll have you on the main show. This is going to be awesome.
Okay.
This is going to be a blessing to a lot of people.
Have Angel. I'm going to see if he only has done one, and his is incredible. So maybe I could try to get him to talk to you. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ashley.
Also do you show like pictures? Because I want to show what I was looking like in addiction without God, and what God has, like, you could see by somebody's picture just the
You know what? Send it over to me. I will make a thumbnambel out of that. Send it over to me. Please don't forget. You know what? I'm gonna record. So right now it's June 16th as we're recording Monday, and I'll probably, like, right now as we hang up, I'm gonna start editing this, and I'll post it later today. So you'll be on the channel later today.
Awesome. Where should I send it? On this number?
Same number. Yep. Send me a text, and we'll stay in touch. Ashley, God bless you.
Thank you so much. You too.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. If this call caught your attention, wait until you see what's coming up next. It should be on the screen right now. Go ahead and click on that video, and I'll see you there.